Most Americans over 50 are taking multivitamins daily, believing it will protect their health. But the largest studies just proved these pills are not only useless, but may also increase cancer risk in some people. With over 20 years of experience, today I'll share with you which supplements are truly worth buying, which ones you should only try, and most importantly, which ones you should skip immediately. Before deciding to use any pill, I always ask myself 3 simple questions you should also apply. First, why do I need it? Am I trying to solve a specific symptom or just wanting to prevent something in the future? Second, how do I know it works? Can I track symptoms or do simple blood tests to measure its impact? And finally, if you decide to use it, which type has the best quality? These 3 questions will help you avoid wasting money on things not bringing real value. Now, let's go into detail for each type, starting with the most common. Multivitamins are the classic supplement most people think they need. It's like a nutritional insurance policy, an assurance your body is receiving everything necessary. But the truth is, for most people, these pills don't do much. Large-scale studies have found no benefits for extending lifespan or protecting against major diseases like cardiovascular. The biggest problem I see with multivitamins is the false sense of security they bring. Many people think I already took my multivitamin today, so no need to worry about diet anymore. This isn't correct thinking. In fact, in some groups like smokers or those with precancerous conditions, high doses of certain vitamins in multivitamins, for example vitamin B6, have been linked with slightly higher cancer risk. So they're not harmless for everyone, especially when used at large doses. There are a few cases where they might help, such as when you're recovering after surgery, have a very restricted diet, or you're elderly and at risk of nutritional deficiency. But even in those cases, I still think you should use targeted supplements and add more nutrient-rich foods to daily meals. My conclusion is, skip multivitamins unless your doctor recommends them, and focus on real nutrients from whole foods first. But there's one supplement type even more expensive and dangerous than multivitamins. That's NMN and NAD+. I've seen too many supplements with sky-high prices and bold promises about brain health. NMN is one that sounds very promising in theory. It's a form of vitamin B3, helping your body produce NAD+, a substance decreasing as we age. Sounds wonderful, right? But all the claims you see on labels are based on theoretical mechanisms or mouse studies. There's no solid evidence from human trials, and we completely don't know how it impacts long-term. These pills can cost you $60 to $100 monthly without bringing any proven benefits. This is a typical example of smart marketing surpassing actual science. So my conclusion is skip completely. Don't waste your money on expensive pills only effective on mice. So, what does the doctor recommend? Let's talk about vitamin D, one of the most important supplements I truly trust. Even in year-round sunny places, many people are still vitamin D deficient. We spend most time indoors, missing sunlight, the body's main vitamin D source. And the reality is, it's very hard to get enough vitamin D just from food. Vitamin D works more like a hormone than an ordinary vitamin. It helps regulate hundreds of processes in your body. Therefore, if your levels are low, supplementation can definitely help. It's been linked with stronger bones, fewer fractures, and possibly reduced infection risk. But it's not magic. Main benefits appear when you correct a deficiency. That's why I think blood testing is the only real way to know whether you benefit from supplementation. Also worth saying, if you have dark skin, melanin will block UV rays, so you produce less vitamin D. Therefore, if you're elderly and don't go out much, or you have dark skin like me, this definitely should be checked. If your levels are low, I recommend 400 to 2,000 international units daily, and that's vitamin D3, along with vitamin K2. Be careful with higher doses, if not checking your levels, because more isn't necessarily better and can actually cause harm. Still worth adding some vitamin D food sources to your diet like sardines, eggs, sun-exposed mushrooms, and salmon. Every bit counts. My conclusion for vitamin D is buy and check your vitamin D levels if possible. Now I want to ask you a question. Are you taking daily supplements? If yes, comment yes, along with the type you're using and purpose. Each sharing from you will help the community learn and exchange real experiences together. Next, let's talk about omega-3. Best evidence we have is for cardiovascular health, but there may also be some additional benefits for brain, mood, and even inflammatory conditions. Now, if you're eating fatty fish 2 to 3 times a week, like salmon, sardines, mackerel, anchovies, you're probably fine. But if not, I'd say a supplement is probably worthwhile. However, there's debate about how much omega-3 is beneficial. Most people aim for about 250 to 500 milligrams EPA and DHA daily. But if you want to achieve specific benefits, close to 1 to 2 grams is probably better. If you can check your levels with an omega-3 index blood test, ideally you want it above 8% for cardiovascular and brain health benefits. And another thing to note is not all fish oils have good quality. Some may be oxidized, rancid, and don't contain what they claim. So look for third-party testing certification on the brand's website. That's your best way to avoid contaminants, like heavy metals harming many fish oil powders. If you're vegan or vegetarian, I really highly encourage you to use omega-3 supplements, and you can get them from algae sources, but you need to consume enough to get high EPA and DHA levels. My conclusion is, this is a buy type, because it's very hard to get over 1 gram EPA and DHA just from food. But what happens with supplements people often trust? Probiotics are having a real boom time. They're everywhere, promising to fix your gut, improve your immune system, or simply make you feel better. But most gut experts we've talked to agree that taking probiotics daily probably won't do much. We don't really know what a healthy gut microbiota looks like because it's very individual, and most supplements only provide a few of these bacterial species, while your gut naturally has hundreds of different microorganisms. However, in some cases, if you just used antibiotics or you're diagnosed with a gut problem like irritable bowel syndrome, certain probiotic strains might help, but best to use them with advice from a registered dietitian or doctor. If you want to care for your gut daily, it's actually much more helpful if you think about other things in your lifestyle. For example, stress. You can help digestion by belly breathing before eating. Nourish microorganisms you already have with specific fiber types called prebiotics. You get these from foods like whole grains, beans, and seeds, plus fermented foods. Things like natural yogurt, kefir, or pickles and kimchi. My conclusion about probiotics is only try if recommended for a specific problem, but I don't think it's worthwhile for most people as a daily supplement. Focus on these things instead. There's another important mineral I see everywhere, often cited as a sleep solution. That's magnesium. And listen, it's necessary. It participates in everything from muscle and nerve function to blood pressure regulation. But research on supplements, it's quite weak. There are some small benefits in elderly and in people training extremely hard, but not enough to make a strong recommendation for everyone. Generally, it's safe, but high doses can cause diarrhea, stomach discomfort, cramps, and it can also interact with medications like antibiotics, osteoporosis drugs. So please check with your doctor if you're using any medications long-term. For most people, the best way to start is having more magnesium-rich foods in your diet, and adults generally need about 300 to 400 milligrams daily. This can really be achieved from 4 to 5 food servings like a handful of seeds, especially pumpkin seeds and almonds. Cooked greens, especially things like kale and spinach, are excellent sources. Edamame, even black beans have magnesium, and whole grains. I know grains get criticized a bit much because they're carbohydrate-rich, but they also contain nutrients, especially things like quinoa, a pseudo-grain. My conclusion is, try if you train really hard, if you're elderly, or if you have difficulty getting these foods into your diet. But I'd optimize your meals first. If you're watching here and find this information useful, type number 1 in the comments below. This lets me know you're still following me, and that's the biggest motivation for me to continue sharing practical medical knowledge like this. Now, there's another mineral many people think about when feeling a bit tired, having heavy periods, or eating mainly plant foods. That's iron. And once again, iron is necessary. We need it to create healthy red blood cells carrying oxygen throughout the body. But if you don't have actual deficiency, taking iron supplements has no proven benefits. And this really is one you want to be really careful with, because too much iron in the body can irritate the intestinal tract and potentially increase oxidative stress over time, leading to increased inflammation levels. If you're worried about iron deficiency, the best thing to do is check your iron levels. There are many reasons besides iron deficiency leading to fatigue. And before rushing to the supplement shelf, I also encourage you to eat more iron-rich foods. Things like seafood, especially mackerel, sardines, and a bit of red meat if you eat it. Lentils and beans are also good iron sources. Tofu, and here's a little tip. If you specifically eat plants, you want to combine these foods with something rich in vitamin C. Something like leafy greens also have iron, bell peppers or lemon juice, because that also increases iron absorption into blood. My conclusion: skip unless you're diagnosed with low iron or anemia after blood testing. And this isn't something to supplement casually. But the most shocking thing I discovered isn't about vitamins or minerals. It's about protein powder. The more I research protein, the more I believe many of us may need a bit more, especially as we age. Protein powder can be a convenient supplement, especially if you're busy, exercise a lot, or simply don't eat enough to meet your needs. There's good evidence showing they can help build muscle and maintain it, especially when combined with strength training. That said, many protein powders are ultra-processed. They contain artificial sweeteners, binders, emulsifiers, and quality can vary greatly. Definitely not something I recommend you consume daily, so if you use them, flip the package or box over and read the label. Always look for third-party testing on the brand's website. That's your best way to avoid contaminants like heavy metals harming many protein powders, but truly, the healthiest way, I believe, is getting protein through whole foods. It can be protein-rich snacks like Greek yogurt with berries, nuts, especially peanuts, pistachios, and things like shelled hemp seeds, which are very protein-rich. You can also try snacks like boiled eggs and hummus as a way to increase that protein number. And some of my favorite plant protein sources are edamame, tempeh, and of course, tofu. Poultry, fish, and lean red meat are obviously also good sources. So my conclusion is, try protein powder when you can't get enough from food. Use them as a supplement, not as your main protein source. We've covered many supplements, but what I'm really excited about is the whole food supplement potential. Instead of isolated nutrients, you're receiving a complete spectrum of things like fiber, healthy fats, protein, and polyphenols, all working together for your gut, cardiovascular, and brain. It's like using a complete tool set instead of just one screwdriver. So, for example, for energy and focus, you have cacao. That's my top choice. It's full of flavonoids helping blood flow to the brain. It has a delicious flavor. It also has prebiotic effects. Very good for your gut health, and it's also a protein source. I use this in many different recipes. Especially for gut health, I always look for flax seeds and psyllium husk. They give you tons of fiber, and there's evidence it can improve digestion, nourish your gut microbiome, and even reduce cholesterol. For inflammation and joint health, turmeric, as well as other spices, work gently but powerfully, especially when you combine it with black pepper. For immune support and antioxidants, frozen or dried berries like blueberries, black grapes are full of plant chemicals called polyphenols and vitamin C. These are wonderful, not just in reducing inflammation, but also supporting your gut microorganisms. About sleep, something I'm asked a lot. Instead of relying on supplements or even food, I think habits are most important. Stick to consistent bedtime. Keep your room cool and dark. Cut caffeine before 11 in the morning. Eat dinner earlier and eliminate digital devices at least a few hours before bed. If you do that consistently, it will be better than any sleep supplement and even some medications. And the most wonderful thing about whole foods, in my opinion, is they weave into your day without you even noticing. I want to summarize the most important points for you. Skip multivitamins and NMN because they don't bring real value and can cause harm. Buy vitamin D and omega-3. These are the two most important supplements for people over 50. But remember to check your levels first. Try probiotics and magnesium if you have specific needs, but focus on food first. Stay away from iron unless you're diagnosed deficient. And use protein powder wisely, as a supplement, not the main source. But most importantly, remember whole foods are always better than pills. No pill can replace a diet full of greens, fruits, nuts, fish, and whole grains. If you find this video useful, share it with your family and friends, especially those taking daily supplements. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel with notifications on so you don't miss important medical videos next. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.